If you get baptized as a kid and when you grow up you do bad things and forget your faith, do you still have salvation?
Yeah, wow. Could we go to the next question? I mean, this is a Presbyterian question, and I know it is, and I know his parents, so I know from whence this question comes. If you're baptized as a kid and you grow up and forget your faith, do you lose your salvation? Let's assume everything is genuine, okay? Let's assume everything is genuine. You're baptized as a kid, that's genuine. You grow up, that's genuine. You forget your faith, do you lose your salvation? No. No. I think once God is with us, God is with us. Baptism is the mark that does not fade. Now, I will say that, and I think there is all sorts of scriptural evidence for that. But I also, anytime anybody asks me a question about salvation or like a who's in, who's out kind of question, one of the things that I will do is I will tell you what I know, and I will tell you what I think, and I will tell you what I believe and why I think and believe all of those things. It's God's decision and God's alone. And sometimes I find in the church we get distracted in a way, and we start thinking about things that are really ultimately beyond us. Whoever's in heaven that God lets in, I am totally cool with. I would just like to be one. That's really kind of where I'm at. And if I see people that I think don't belong there, I'm going to defer judgment and say, you know what? I imagine Jesus knows what he's doing just fine. But it's the kind of thing that if we think about these things too much, we end up like in the story where they come to Jesus trying to trap him with the woman that's been she got married to her husband died, so she marries the brother because that's what she's supposed to do in the culture of the day, and then he dies, and then she marries the next one, he dies. This is the origin of country music in scripture. It's just kind of a sad song. And so they come to Jesus and they ask the question. They come to Jesus after telling the story, and it's like, well, whose husband or whose wife is she in heaven? Because she's been married to them all. And this is one of those times where I really wish Scripture was video, because I'd love to see Jesus' face. You morons. You absolute fools. You're worrying about things that you don't need to worry about. Because what I think in part Jesus would say is, why don't you love God and love your neighbor? And then when you figure that out, we can move on to the rest. But for now, love God, love your neighbor, and trust that Jesus will take care of the rest. So I think that's a good spot to land. It's the kind of thing, this question is, it's worth talking about. I think it explores our faith in a deeper way. And I think it's profoundly important to be able to say that, when we baptize someone or someone makes the decision to be baptized, that mark does not fade. It doesn't go away. And that's where I want to be theologically, and I think there's value in talking about that. I do think, however, that we can sometimes use questions like this in a way that distract us from really what's more important, and that would be loving God and loving neighbor, which Jesus said all Scripture hangs upon. All right, but great question. Thank you so much. And I'm going to shoot your parents an email because I know where that came from.